Hello one for a new video. So I know it's been a while since we had a video uploaded. The reason was because so after the 10 challenge that you saw, we pretty much sold the currency from that, made good money off of it, and then we pretty much decided to try. I was looking for a build to do quick mapping with, since I was looking for something to do that for a while. So we decided to go with it. And I was looking at build and I saw Empyrean's in-stacker build. I was like, oh, this seems interesting. Let's try playing it. It was a lot more expensive than I thought it was going to be. I think I synced in over 100 exalts into it, maybe 120 to 150. And I had about 1.1k, about 1100. Yeah, I think 1100 int. The build was extremely fast at mapping. It's just the bossing felt really bad. Harvest was hard. 10 boss fight wasn't the easiest. So I got annoyed with it and I scrapped the build. And that was pretty much, took me about 3-4 days because of getting the gear and all that. That gear was not easy to get at all. So that was pretty much what happened. And then the last couple days after we sold it off, it took a while to sell most of it to get some currency in. I decided to go back to something we played last league, the Bleed Bow from last league. So this is the Bleed Bow Gladiator from last league that I played. Except the gear I have now is a lot, because the harvest is going to be a little bit different. I want to see how much damage I can push on this build. So we're going to do this build, and after this build, I know what I'm going to do next. It's just, I have to figure out which version I want to play, the one we're going to play after this. This is just for to have some fun for the time being. I'll show you the gear in a little bit. So right now we're only level 60, so we have a long way to go still. But it's gonna be the exact same skill tree, I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to get rid of these 2 points right here. I can get rid of one. I have half of this. I'm trying to get the mana on something. But it's the same thing, you know. Thread of Hope will be here. We will have the 3 max on both of these instead of like last league where we're missing all of 3 max each. Or eventually we'll get the War Cry going. Same thing, your Lion's Eye Fall, your Might of the Meek. Try to get, let me get rid of that. Try to get the Corrupted Blood on one of these two. It's cheaper to get on Might of the Meek this league, so I would go for that one since no one's using Might of the Meek. And then pretty much the exact same thing. Resolute Techniques, your Jewel slot. For the Jewel slot, I had to go with a lot of elemental resistance due to my calculations. I'm already not going to have any resistance on this character, so I had to go heavy resistance on here to have something. Exact same thing, we're getting these right now before we get to level 70. We're going to get the life nodes here. Probably get all of the life. Exact same thing, armor, life. Shoot up this this cluster. We're going to do the Call to Arms again. Going up this way, get the life, the armor from the Might of the Meek extra. A lot of the exact same sort of play from last league. You know, here, Thread of Hoping these, picking up to this, getting to Iron Reflex soon. Anointing, Crystal Skin again. It's pretty much the exact same build. Nothing's really going to change. The only thing that's going to change is we could, if we want to go real fancy, is go 1, 2, 3, 4, get 5 points this way, and put an Unnatural Instinct here. If we want to go like more resistant route or more projectile damage, movement speed, skill effect durations I don't think matters too much. The dex, totems don't matter. Melee Fizz doesn't matter. Life up there. That could be another interesting route to see what it actually would do. I don't think it'd be as good or not though. It could be something funny to just look at. I think you get the Flask too from this. But that's pretty much, we're only level 60 right now. So pretty much the gear I was looking at, that's why I'm still leveling stuff. As this is the gear I have so far. I have all the exact same gems from last league. It's all the 21, 23s. Or Awakens. The only difference is I do have the Divergent Malevolence for the extra damage over time. And I do have the Anonymous Flesh and Stone for, I think it's in here, is more damage. Cooldown. It's easier to see on the actual POE. Yeah, somewhere in there. Something that's good about this. I forget what it is though. You know, like the anonymous second wind, the phasing dash, wherever it's at. The divergent dash for phasing. It should be a little bit better. So the actual gear itself, flash will be the exact same setup. Still Thread of Hope. The chest piece is going to be pretty much the exact same from last league. The resistance, the life, explode, minus 15 mana cost of skill, exact same chest piece. The bow, so the bow I was working on, this is where all my money went into, is actually, where did I put it? Nope. Oh, it's in crafting. So this is the bow I've been trying to work on. I have sanked probably almost 50 exalts worth of fossils into this thing, and I have not been able to hit triple bleed with something good that lived through the annul process. Since I had to null stuff off because I couldn't really harvest fix it, and it's been a fail every time. I've had merciless rolls, I've had triple bleed with a tier 1 and 2, add flat fizz damage. It's been a mess with this bow. So that's why, the point after I almost lost all my currency on it, I went on and bought at least a bow for about 12x, at least have something. This is not the best bow because it's only 20 quality, which I don't like. And it's only 30 DPS bow, which I don't like at all. So it's something at least to have for now, which I can just remove crit from it and fix it a little bit, until I can actually get my bow going, when we get harvest going. And so like the rings, they're going to be exact same rings from last league. One's going to have vulnerability, which I still need to get. This one's going to have the life, the tier 1 life, tier 1 flat fizz. And I do have physical attack damage, leeches life. I'm trying to get the second one to have leeches mana to get rid of those 2 points. It's just really hard to find it. Those 3 exact prefixes all on tier 1. Let's see. Helmet. It's the Flesh and Stone, 30%. This was the only one to market. Ideally, you want Elder Base. It's just that that one doesn't exist. So at 80 level, I don't level 85. So I just went with this one to have something. I might influence this one and then just combine it with an Elder with already have it, and then just do it that way, maybe in the future. But for now, this will be just resistant helmet, since resistance in this build is a huge problem. The exact same amulet from last league. Fizz damage over time, and then malevolence 25. When I put the mana, we don't call it the metamorph catalyst on it, it'll go up to 30. Because you do need that plus the helmet to be able to run all 4 auras again. But it's pretty much, we're gonna make this. This with this is gonna give us the 6 or the 3 frenzy and endurance at all times. That's why they're pretty much both set ready to go. This one, the prefixes are gonna be life. The pretty much same thing as life. The flat fizz, and then the last slot I gotta see what's gonna be to see what fits that spot, because the suffix is already gone on this one. The quiver is pretty close to what I want it to be. It's a little bit like last league's. It's still the additional arrow. I want to get life on here. I need to remove add life. It's pretty much I slammed it with the hunter mod, the fizz damage over time tier 1 with the additional arrow. So it's a lot better than last league's. And also, I was able to hit it with the harvest add a fizz mod to get the 100% chance to get the attacks cause more bleeding, which doesn't matter, but you do 15 to 25% more damage with bleeding. I want to get that. I was hoping to get tier 1, but I got tier 2 instead. I'm going to try to get a remove crit to get rid of that crit mod on there, since crit does nothing for this build. And then make that a resistance slot instead, since I need a resistance. And then the prefix will be something I gotta figure out what it's gonna be. I'm not 100% sure yet. But prefix might be the flat fizz to make this a really good quiver. And boots, they're pretty much the exact same from last league. The 35% chance to avoid elements. And then I also, this league, since it's a little bit easier to fix boots, I went with the hunter mod, bleeding to inflict, deal 10% faster. Just to make our bleeding faster, more damage. I want to push the damage on this build, this league. So I'm going to remove chaos. Life is already good. And then the only problem with these boots is that tier 8 lightning resistance, because the elements and lightning are both considered. Avoid elements has all 3 of the resistant mods on it, so it's really hard to fix that lightning resistance. So I might have to remove lightning and remove add lightning and hope that it hits the tier 8 instead of the tier 1. Otherwise, it's going to take a long time to fix these boots. But that's hit or miss with the boots. It's nothing you can do about it. Gloves. So these gloves we didn't use these at all last league. Last league I think it was just a life-based gloves, life and resistance. So I took a warlords and a increased damage over time with the elder mods that pretty much just you don't care about the chance to bleed. It's more that increased damage with bleeding. So that pretty much will have a 34% increased damage bleeding, plus everything else. We're going to have a lot of increased damage bleeding, which should give us a nice value overall, I'm hoping. And then, pretty much with these, they're going to be... One suffix is going to be the avoid elements like last league, 1 resistance, prefix life, and maybe fizz damage over time or something else. Not fizz damage over time, flat fizz. So pretty much what we're going to try. It's going to spend really on Harvest. Harvest this league is very hard to get, and also it's very expensive. Every mod I need on here costs anywhere between 1 to 2x per try. So it could be a lot of currency waste. I only have 9x right now, about 200 chaos, about 11x total. As there's not a whole lot I have to go with. So we're just going to see how it goes. I'm going to push the mapping. We can do it quick. And also if you're leveling, I forgot to mention this, you don't need Headhunter. This was just from the Instacker. So I just kept it just half for my next character who's going to probably use it. I'm just going to keep it all late probably. But I do have the Rasha's Coil that I actually would use for bossing. This one I got real lucky on Divine and almost got it perfect rolled on it. On 1 Divine. It's about the cheapest one. Threw a Divine on it and just look for whatever I can get. And this one's really good. So we're going to use this mainly for bossing. And this is just for mapping, have some fun. If I don't like Headhunter, I would switch to this one easily. Rasha's Coil costs you about 4 to 4.5x pretty much. And it's Divine to make it better. This is about almost 100x. So I would definitely skip the Headhunter with this build like last league. And just do the Coil. It's a lot less cheaper. Coil is much better in slot. It's much better overall. You don't need the Headhunter. Headhunter is just more of a let's have fun with this build item. But for actual Cyrus, Mavens, 10 boss fights, I would never use Headhunter. It is not worth the trouble. So I can do a quick map. It's going to be pretty much the same as last league. So I'll do it without the Headhunter, just so in case if you don't have it. Just so it's a little more accurate. But it's pretty much at this point once you, and the labs are the same, it's so easy when you get the explode mod going. Let's see. And I'll put a POE in the description below, but it's going to be the exact same as last league's. But I'll just put it up to where it's at now, and then tomorrow I'm going to try to, or tonight's stream, I'm going to try to push to finish the last 2 acts and get some maps and hopefully get to level 80 or so. Because this build is not going to do much until Harvest comes along. Get close to level 90 when we actually get like all the resistance going. Because resistance is going to be a huge problem until probably like not high 90s or so. But it's pretty much the same thing as last league. It's one-shots everything early on. There's not a whole lot to show on this build yet until mapping. Because, and also, I forgot to show labs. There you go. It's the same thing, even with the changes this league. It's still lab 1, lab 2. You'll feel the damage. Lab 1 was amazing. Lab 2 is even better for how fast you go. And then 3 and 4 are these two. I personally would say go lab 3 for arena challenge. Just for the, it'll make it feel much faster with the attack speed you get, movement speed. Because Outmatch and Outlast you don't really need until you can actually withstand both of these at max with the ring and amulet. Because when you get those to max, that's when you actually will feel the outmatch and outlast more than this one. So that's why this is definitely, I would go 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's no point, there's no reason to go block with this build, so I would just do these 4 and just make sure this is their last one. And that's pretty much it. You can definitely change the skill tree around. I just rushed to life because I know last league I didn't do life that much and I died a lot. So that's why I did life first, then I slowly went down this way and picked up all the stuff, this big chunk right here of damage. And that's why I just rushed up here to have ready. So when we switch over in like the late 60s, I just have this already pre-done. But if you're doing this as like and like eventually we'll switch this way to push like all this stuff. But if you don't have, like this was early in the league, you didn't have the Lion's Eye Fall, you can skip all that early. If you don't have the helmet and the amulet, you can definitely skip all this. This whole half probably up here and just stop right here. Or if you want, yeah, just stop right there and just save those points and get like a cluster jewel. Because cluster jewels are something I was considering. Since cluster jewels can make the build so much better. It's just I don't know the exact cluster jewel I'd probably go with. So I have to look more into it. But it's definitely an option I'm considering putting right here. Because I think that spot's better than this one. Yeah, it is. This one's much better. And you just get like an 8-1 here and do something with it. Then you can take away, this a jewel slot and put it over there instead. And save the 2 points there. Then you probably can save the 2 points here. That's 4. Take less of the life up here. Only take like this one. And just do make sure you don't take these instead. Which I'm probably not taking this one next for 7%. And I'll give you more points this way. It just depends really on what gear you have and all that. And which way you want to take this build. But in the next video, we should revisit this build. It's more of an update, like around level 80 or so, what we do tomorrow. So as you can see how the build actually runs with actually somewhat gear. Because my gear I have is pretty shitty. And I don't know how it's going to run with half-assed gear like this is. Like this one I'll finish. And the rest of this is going to be a real shit show. We'll have a bow at least. We'll have a chest piece that's missing a lot. It's missing resistance and life. Gloves that have nothing on them. Boots that have nothing really. The quiver we're just going to have on these because I don't want to keep using this at least. But we'll see how it runs. It'll definitely be very interesting to see. But like I see, hit subscribe down below. Come follow me on Twitter if you have questions. Put in the description below. And then this is pretty much the same thing from last league. So if you want to check out my video from last league's, just take a look at my channel. For it, I went over the exact same build at the end of the league. I think when I played this build, it was part of my 3 end of the league builds. And I think this was on there. I just didn't have. The bow was amazing. The other stuff I got real lazy on, like fixing the amulet, fixing the gloves were not good at all. It was just I just didn't really care that late in the league to fix it that well, and it was also a lot harder because we didn't have harvest, and I don't like metacrafting that much. So that's why this league I want to try a little bit better to see. Depends how, because harvest is rare this league though. So I hope everyone liked the video, and I hope to see you on the next one. Thank you for stopping by.